Welcome to my backyard. It's a cold and wet November 1 morning, the day after Halloween. In this talk, we will be defining dissociation, focusing especially on the distinction between N for normative dissociation and P for pathological dissociation. I'll be quoting the Dissociative Experiences Scale, the DES, survey items that describe this distinction between dissociation that is normative and dissociation that is pathological. Let's first refer to the concept of normative dissociation. Normative dissociation really just says that some dissociative experiences are normal. All of us, to one degree or another, experience these kinds of dissociation. Let me quote the DES, or the Dissociative Experiences Scale. Examples of this normative dissociation include driving or riding in a car or bus or subway and suddenly realizing that you don't remember what has happened during all or part of the trip. Another example, finding that you're listening to someone talk, such as myself right now, and you're suddenly realizing that you don't hear part or all of what was said. In other words, you had become distracted. Perhaps you're mind wandering, perhaps you're paying attention to the environment around you, that is my backyard in this case. Each of these are signs of normative dissociation, having actually much to do with mind wandering or internally focused experience, not so much paying attention to the external surroundings or external stimuli, such as someone's voice talking. Other examples of normative dissociation include experiences of absorption. I'll give you another quote from the Dissociative Experiences Scale as an example. Finding that you're watching television or a movie and you become so absorbed in the story that you're unaware of other events happening around you, or becoming so involved in a fantasy or a daydream that it feels as though it was actually happening. These as well are the kinds of experiences that fall into the category of normative dissociation. But now let's talk about pathological dissociation. And really, pathological dissociation are the kinds of dissociation that tend to be signs or symptoms of dissociative disorders that may indeed have been caused by trauma. Pathological dissociation are experiences that are rather infrequently experienced in the general population. Whereas with normal dissociation, it's sort of the normal bell curve. You may experience this frequently, some experience it less frequently, but overall it's a sort of normal curve. Whereas the research that identified this distinction between normative and pathological, it was the instances of pathological dissociation, certain descriptions that fall into that category that were much less frequently experienced, essentially either at all or not at all. And that taxonomic distinction, sort of categorical, present or absent, whereby presence might be indicative of a dissociative disorder. Let's go back to the Dissociative Experiences Scale to gather some examples of pathological dissociation. Feeling as though you're standing next to yourself, watching yourself do something, actually seeing yourself as if you're looking at another person, a sort of out-of-body, depersonalizing experience. Looking in a mirror and not recognizing yourself, the lack of self-recognition. Feeling that other people, objects, the world around you is not real. The experience of derealization. Feeling like your body doesn't belong to you. Another instance of disembodiment, partial or full, as we've described in other lectures. Or remembering a past event so vividly that you feel like you're reliving the event. Here, a flashback experience, perhaps of a traumatic life event, an alteration of the time sense such that the past is experienced in the present. These kinds of alterations in consciousness are seen to be pathological instances of dissociation. So to conclude, we've discussed an important distinction in the definition of dissociation. On the one hand, we have normative dissociation, experienced in the general population, examples including, for example, mind wandering and absorption. Compared to that, we have the pathological signs of dissociation. We've given several examples: lack of self-recognition in the mirror, out-of-body experiences, flashbacks, maybe voice hearing inside the head. These would be instances of pathological or non-normative dissociation. Thank you for your attention.